So our next speaker is obviously someone we've already met. It's Andrew Ola from Kingpins Ola Inc. He's going to be giving a presentation about cotton. So it's going to be quite nice. Hi, Andrew, again. Welcome, welcome.
Hey, Mohsen.
Hey. So I think that there's going to be a video that's going to be played first, right? From my understanding. Then you're going to go straight into it.
Yeah, this video came out on October 7th on World Cotton Day, and it wasn't part of my presentation, but I like the video, so it interrupts my presentation, but I think it's important to start it off with this video. So let it rip.
We'll let it rip.
Hi, I'm Kai Hughes, and I'm the Executive Director of the International Cotton Advisory Committee. To mark World Cotton Day, the ICAC has produced these series of videos to refute some of the many myths and misunderstandings about the cotton industry.
The claim. Cotton is a very thirsty crop that requires enormous amounts of water to produce a kilogram of fibre. In our second Truth About Cotton video, we're going to address one of the most common and ridiculous myths about cotton. Of all the mistruths that people publish about cotton, this one grabs the most headlines. Years ago, the highly respected NGO, the WWF, or World Wildlife Fund, commissioned a study that concluded that cotton required a staggering 20,000 litres of water to produce just a single kilogram of fibre. That's more than 5,200 gallons. This number spread around the world like wildfire. Those who compete with cotton or who have an agenda to speak against it have kept this number alive for years, and despite repeated efforts, the WWF refuses to adjust it, which is a shame. Because the amount of water that cotton really needs to produce a kilogram of fibre is only 1,214 litres. 94% less than the 20,000 litres. So how can there be such a huge discrepancy between those numbers? The answer is that the study included two different types of water. Firstly, it included green water. Green water comes from rainfall, and it falls from the sky. It's either absorbed into the ground or it evaporates and it returns to the clouds. Counting this type of water against cotton production is nonsense, because by this logic, parking lots also consume thousands of litres of water every time it rains. So do rooftops and athletic fields, and even the oceans themselves. So clearly green water that falls from the sky shouldn't be counted. Then there is blue water. Blue water comes from lakes or streams, and this type of water is used to irrigate crops that don't get enough water from rainfall alone. So this is the only type of water that should be counted. It accounts for water that could be used for something else, but instead has been diverted to grow cotton, as well as any other type of crop. And there's another thing. As we mentioned in the first of these videos, The Truth About the Aral Sea, cotton is a xerophyte, which means it actually thrives in places that are too dry and inhospitable for most other crops. Its roots grow stronger and deeper as it seeks water, so where water's scarce, cotton is almost always the crop that gives the best economic return for this limited resource. To put things into perspective, here in the Northern Hemisphere, where the ICAC is headquartered, you actually need more water to grow an acre of grass than you need to grow an acre of cotton. And of course, neither lawns nor golf courses provide fibre or food. With less water, cotton produces both.
So, visit www.icac.org and click on the Global Cotton Promotions button to see more truths about cotton. Thanks for watching.
Okay, so that video was kind of interesting. Let me share my screen with you all. I think that's visible to everybody. Raise your hand if you can't see it. No, I'm joking. Okay, so Miguel said that cotton was the king of fibers for jeans. Well, it of course was. in the 50s and 60s, every jean was basically 100% cotton. And now I think we don't even have jeans very often that are made of 100% cotton. Anyway, cotton is still the majority fiber that's in a jean. And the whole conversation about cotton is super complicated. It's not easy to explain. There's a lot of reasons why it's difficult to explain. Most synthetic or man-made fibers come out of a factory. So when they come out of a factory, you can control the inputs and you can control the outputs and you can control the production. Cotton comes from 26 million farmers throughout the world. And sometimes a farm across the street from another farm might have a different result or a different condition. So it's really difficult to have exact information. And when you go through the internet, which is a lot of cotton lovers get agitated by this, if you go through the internet, just this one little slide shows you 3 different pieces of information. Cotton Made in Africa's website says that 1 kilogram of cotton, the global average is 2,100 liters, which has nothing to do with the movie. And it says that their cotton is only 1 liter. And then World Wildlife, as you saw in the movie, says 20,000. But if you go through the internet just a little bit and take some time, I do it sometimes just for fun or agitation, you find different numbers from everybody. This one is the World Count website, and it says it takes 10,000 liters to grow a kilogram. But it doesn't stop only with water, it's in everything. One would think that the environmentalists believe that organic cotton is better for whatever reason, but there's stories, this one was in Quartz, how organic cotton t-shirt might be worse for the environment than regular cotton. There's no information, there's no data, there's nothing to say there other than the title. And then this is one of my favorites, which says rice and wheat production use more water than all the other crops put together. Well, you can see in the picture that rice loves water. But I'm from Canada, and if you know anything about the prairies in Canada, there's very little water. So wheat is not like that at all. My point is, through all these slides, is they're everywhere, and they're in every subject about sustainability. But it's hard to believe them when there's no data. So let's go into the cotton. The cotton industry is a big industry that has a lot of impact on a lot of people. It's grown in 80 countries. These are estimates, but there's something like 250 million people involved in cotton production, providing income for 110 million households. 500 million people around the world, or 6.6 of the entire population of the world, make some portion of their income from cotton. It's a very, very important product. And unlike man-made fibers, which I said before, cotton is grown once a year. And so the once a year issue of the product coming out makes it difficult because the farmers, like the guy in this picture, when he produces his field, he wants his money as soon as possible. Whereas the synthetic fibers or man-made fibers, they come out daily. So payment for all the cotton in the world is a complicated process. And usually there's a trader involved to help facilitate the payment. And of course, the most important thing is to store it. Storing cotton is not an easy thing, but it's done and it's handled. Most farmers don't have data about their inputs. Yet in the global communications, everyone seems to think they do, but they don't so far. I think in the future they will. And I think we're going to that because I'm a big proponent of transparency. And transparency is only going to exist when farmers can record all of the inputs and the outputs. So what is cotton? First of all, it's estimated to be a 7,000-year-old plant. It's basically a tree. The fiber itself is soft. It has good strength. It's absorbent. ICAC, which you guys saw the movie from, ICAC is an intergovernmental organization. It represents 44 countries that produce or consume cotton. It's been around since 1938. They say on their website, I looked it up last night, that cotton can absorb 27 times its weight in water, which is incredible. Obviously, it's comfortable in hot weather. It has a bad reputation, which lots of us want to change. And it grows, as the movie said, in arid countries, not in wet countries. A friend of mine wanted to grow it in Vietnam and would love to grow it in Vietnam, but it's too much rain. So it needs to grow in a kind of dry environment. Quality of cotton is measured primarily from the first step is, of course, the length of the fiber. So different plants have different lengths, and we'll get into that in a little bit later. But length is important, the maturity, the strength, of course. Micronair, which is boils down to the fineness of the fiber, the dirt in the fiber, and the color. These are all features that give people an examination of the quality so they can decide what price to pay based on the quality. Longer fiber is, of course, stronger than shorter fiber. This is what cotton looks like under a microscope. It's kind of like a ribbon, a flat ribbon, and very able to, as I said, absorb. So production. I think one of the most interesting parts of cotton is where it's produced and how we understand the details of its production. So we have here 3 different years of production. We have 2019, 2018, 2017. All these statistics are from ICAC. I continually use their numbers. You'll see it doesn't really matter how big or not, but the 3 big players are China, India, and the United States. And you can see the quantities that they grow compared to the other countries, like Argentina at the bottom or Burkina Faso. The African countries produce obviously much, much less than these countries. This is maybe a little bit hard to see, but hopefully you guys can see it. I find this a super fascinating number. If you scroll to the very bottom to the total number of farmers, this is, I guess, their assessment. You're talking about 26 million farmers in the world growing cotton. And each of those farmers makes a decision every year on what seed to grow, what pesticides or fertilizers they're going to use, and how they're going to manage their crop. They are business people, and they make a judgment every year on what is best for their business. What else can I say to you? You can see other things that I think are interesting here is the size of farms, so that you get a feeling for that. And if you take a look, let's just pinpoint. Let's look at China, where the average farm size is 0.38 hectares. And then you look at Brazil, which is 757, or you look at the United States, which is 312, or Australia, which is 412. So you can see that the farmers themselves are completely different operations and businesses. You can see also how many farmers are involved. In Australia, there's only 1,350 farmers involved. And in China, there's almost 8 million. In India, there's 9 million. I guess there are questions coming in that we'll get to afterwards. Let's skip this one. Well, everyone talks about organic, and organic is obviously an important element. Consumers seem to love organic, and there's a lot of talk about organic. But what's interesting about organic is when you go into the numbers, and these are a little bit old, but these are the numbers I have for today. If you look at the last 5 years, between 2012 to 2017, the percent of organic cotton was not 1%. It was in 2016, it was 44% of 1%, which means a little bit less than 0.5%. And it's hovered in that area for 5 years. Now, it seems that the conversation about organic is much bigger than 0.5%, half of 1%. But this is the numbers that it's grown, and here are the countries that it's grown in. It's grown primarily in India. You can see that India is the major producer. China is less than half of India. Turkey is a tiny production. United States is tiny. And then we really get small after that. So there's not a lot produced, which raises the question, and I think everyone can ask themselves this question because it's kind of obvious. If there's 26 million farmers and organic is so great, why don't more farmers grow it? And I guess that's a business proposition that they have to decide. And I guess that boils down to, at the end of the day, the price that consumers pay. So if consumers are not willing to pay for the price that the farmers want for organic, they won't grow it. And if they would pay, they would grow it. It seems like an obvious business question. So then we can move on to, just to put cotton in perspective. When I started my career, cotton had a very, very high percentage of global fiber consumption. So this is from Lensing, our friends in the man-made fiber world. You can see here that synthetic fibers at the bottom left, the gray part of the pie, today account for 64.2%. Synthetic fibers mean fundamentally petroleum-based fibers that do not biodegrade. I can say that again twice if you want. They don't biodegrade, and they account for 64.2% of the industry. And yet they continually grow in market share, even though we all talk about sustainability. Wood-based cellulose fibers account for 6.2%, and cotton continually drops in its market share, oddly, because it's a natural fiber, biodegrades. Wool is a tiny, tiny market share, and it's a wonderful fiber, and other natural fibers are 4.4%. So you can see that there's a lot of work to be done in sustainability in flipping the use of synthetic fibers to natural fibers, whether it's cotton or whether it's wool or whatever fiber. Cotton has a lot of what we call identity programs. So for a fiber that has really one major feature, you have all these different brands that are trying to sell you on, or industry, on why their cotton is better. But it is just cotton. So there's fair trade cotton, there's US Trust Protocol, which is now popular, there's BCI cotton, there's Supima. There's all these different brands, and one's hard pressed to actually understand what is the fundamental difference in the product, not in the way it's grown or how the workers are treated, but in the actual product itself. So let's talk about GMO cotton. There's a lot of talk about GMO through the industry and through all sorts of our society. GMO was introduced in 1996 in the cotton world. Today, it accounts for 80% of the world cotton hectares, well, as of 2017. In Argentina and Australia, it is 100% of the crop. You saw the charts of who grows the most cotton. In China, Pakistan, USA, and India, the four biggest, it accounts for 96 to 93% of all the cotton grown. The reason that it's grown and the reason it's used is it improves fiber quality and yield by controlling the insect damage. There's another kind of cotton that we should know about, which is called extra long staple. This is a measurement of the fiber length of the cotton plant. If it's longer than 1.3/8 of an inch, or 34.9 millimeters, it's considered as extra long staple. It's grown in not every country, but it's grown in the United States, Egypt, Peru, China, and it's got marketing names. And the marketing names that you might or might not know, but if you're in your future, in your career, I'm sure you will know, is Supima, Suvan, Sea Island, and Pima from Peru. BCI is a cotton identity program which aims to transform the cotton production worldwide into a sustainable mainstream commodity. What does that mean? What it means is that brands have supported, and you can see at the bottom in the green, just some members of BCI, they have a very wide range of brands that support the initiative. The idea of BCI cotton from the beginning was to educate farmers to grow their cotton more sustainably, and I think it's a fabulous idea. Their mission is to make global production available and better for the people who produce it, better for the environment, grows it, and better for the sector's future. BCI is not for profit. It is the largest sustainable program in the world. It's trained 2 to 3 million farmers and accounted for 22% cotton production in 2018 and 19. There's a problem with it. The only problem that has with BCI is that BCI works on, this is a complicated concept, but it works on a mass balance system. So if a mill gets an order for, let's say, 100,000 yards of BCI cotton for the order to be fulfilled, they do not have to use BCI to fill the order. What they do is they just place a new order for 100,000 yards of BCI and they can use it in any order they want in the future. The point is not that it's in the order, the point is that it's actually purchased. So that's good from the purchasing side, but it's terrible from the transparency side because every garment that you get, you don't know what's in it and you don't know where it's from. So that's their downfall. I'm sure they're trying to figure out a solution for it, and then hopefully they have to have a solution because at the end of the day, we as consumers will want to know where all our products are from, what's inside them, and what is the environmental impact of them. Organic cotton. So organic cotton doesn't use, as you can imagine, does not use any genetic modification seeds. It can only use organic fertilizer and pesticides. It cannot use synthetic herbicides and defoliants, utilizes beneficial insects. And you cannot make a farm organic just because you decide to turn your farm organic. If you have a farm and you want to become an organic farm, then the first 2 to 3 years that you produce your farm, you're in what's called transition. So let me go to transparency. I think, from my point of view, that every consumer product that is in our lives, everything that's in the room around where you're sitting, we should know where it's from, we should know what it's composed of, and we should know the environmental and social impact of how it was produced. We know none of that with any consumer products that we have, whether it's our iPhones, whether it's our glasses, whether it's our furniture, we know nothing about every single product around us. And this is going to change in the next 10 years. You, the students, are the ones that are going to change that the most, and you can impact it. So when it comes to cotton, it's a really simple request that we have as an industry to go forwards in the future. And the request is, we know what the farm, who's the farm? We want to know what the farmer used to grow his cotton. What were the inputs? What were the outputs? And what was the environmental impact of the field? If we do not have that information, we have no idea what we're doing. In case you like cotton and you want to read books, here's some suggestions for you. And you can write me or ask me any questions at this email address. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Andrew. That was amazing. I've had some comments on my WhatsApp group saying how amazing your presentation was. I've got some questions. I know from your slides, we found out even six months ago that only is 0.5% of world production is actually organic. Is that statistic kind of still correct? Like,
I heard that it went up slightly this year, but I don't have the updated figures. That's the figures I have.
So not even 1%. So all of these brands, like these big brands that say that we're using organic, can it be trusted even? Like, you know, obviously, I'm just saying it.
Besides saying that they're using it, what do they have to prove it?
I guess, yeah, they don't have to prove anything. They're just saying
If
it's
I
like
tell
saying,
you I'm sitting on an organic chair, what is it you're going to do to say that I am or I'm not?
Right. I do have a question. Hopefully, we have got some questions now. The first question is, how do we know how much water is truly used to grow cotton if the website says something different? Obviously, that.
Well, there's information available. I mean, we're going to a world where there will be exact information, but this is not an easy question. For instance, Brazil doesn't use any irrigation whatsoever. 100% of Brazilian cotton is rain-fed. 69% of India is rain-fed, the entire crop. Even the United States, I would say between 48 and 52% of the entire crop is rain-fed. So I think unless we have individual farm information, it's really hard to make an assessment because it's just different everywhere.
Okay, Elliot saying, hope you're well. Good to hear from you. Writing my dissertation. Question is to Andrew, do you feel cotton production is effectively climate change? If so, why? Do you think the use of water and pesticides, are we going to look into effects of denim industry having on the environment? But yes. Obviously, Andrew, you can answer. Is
cotton having an impact on the environment?
Yeah, that's the question.
Well, that's kind of like asking if you have an impact on the environment. Cotton compared to what? Everything, if we don't want to have any impact on the environment, we should just sit in a tent outside and just not move.
Right.
Everything we do, everything we purchase, everything we make has impact. Does our car have impact? I mean, does the subway
outside? Yeah, exactly.
Does the tube in London have impact? I mean, who built it? How was it built? Was there slave labor used? What kind of materials? What did they do with the materials when they're finished with the tube car? I mean, I don't think it's a question of whether cotton has an impact. I think the question is, what is it, to understand, so we can compare it,
yep.
and also improve it, and then compare it to other industries and see what is going on.
Okay, someone's asked a question about the books. This presentation is going to be on YouTube in the next few days. So
there's amazing books on cotton, unbelievable books on cotton. Really amazing books, and I really recommend people to if you like the subject, to read one or two of them. They're great.
And then Marlene, our good friend Marlene, who's going to be presenting, I think on our final days, is asking organic versus non-organic cotton, which is better, GOTS certified?
My answer is the same for all cotton. I don't care what your brand is. I care only about your data. So you either have data or you have no data. And then once we do have data, you're either going to have good data, indifferent data, or terrible data. But we don't know. Right now, the way the industry is, there's no data.
Hi, Andrew. The latest statistics on organic cotton production are the world's production reached 23,000 tons, close to 1%. I guess that's just a fact.
Fabulous. That's fabulous.
Thank you, Terry.
But it does mean that 99% of the farmers in the world don't grow it.
Yeah, exactly right. Why do you believe organic cotton cannot be traced from farm given the level of GOTS certified organic cotton through?
Nothing to do with organic cotton. It's not a question of organic cotton. You can't trace GMO cotton either. There's very little tracing going on because people don't buy from the farms that buy from traders. And the cotton qualities are all mixed up and blended in the gin, or they're blended in the shipping. And there's a lot of mix up going on. And I think there's no bad intention with that. It's just the way the industry works. And then the industry has to reorganize their entire way of operating so that they consider transparency as a key point. And then all of it will be traceable, whether it's organic or not.
Yeah. One more question's coming in from our friend Mars. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Where do you think the disagreement is between cotton-based textiles and the whole textiles fashion? There might be a danger of double accounting. I was talking about accounting, detrimental impact, the difference between textile lessons and lessons. A lot of questions there. Don't know if you want to answer that or leave it for the moment.
I didn't really understand the question.
I didn't either. I'm trying to understand it. Do you see this disagreement or disagreeable between cotton-based textiles and the whole textile fashion? There might be a danger of double accounting.
I think it's been funny and kind of amusing to me and kind of frustrating why cotton gets a bad reputation. I mean, I read last night, because I was preparing for this, I read that almonds really use a lot of water, and I've never read a bad article about almonds. So I really don't know. It's funny for me that cotton has received this bad reputation, and there's a bunch of us that want to stand up for cotton. It's like somebody at a bar hitting you in the shoulder over and over again, and eventually maybe somebody will stand up and say, "Stop hitting him."
Yeah. I have a question. Different colors of cotton. I know there's a brown cotton that the early workwear garments used. I know these types of earlier colors do still exist, but you have to convince a mill to do it, right? And the gins are still. Do you know
Not the mill that you have to convince. You have to convince the farmer that someone's going to buy it. And as you know, there was a farmer in the United States in Arizona many years ago called Sally Fox. Sally still has a farm today. She grows beautiful long staple cotton that's sold to Japan. It's spun in Japan and made into scarves for luxury brands. It's beautiful. That's what she grows today. But she tried to grow color cotton. She did. And she had huge financial problems because the brands would not pay her price. Yeah. Which means the consumers wouldn't pay their price, which means all the folks out there.
So
this happened a long time ago, so it's probably their parents' fault.
Yeah, we've only got 2 minutes left before Andrew has to go. Someone's asking a question about blockchaining. Of course, that is definitely a solution, and it is a solution now. Lots of people are doing there's lots of different solutions as well, including
there's also markers that people can put inside the cotton. There's a lot of work to be done in the future, and I'm sure in the next 5 or 10 years it'll be done, and the entire industry will look alternative.
Okay, Nick is asking a question. Hi Andrew, do you think the whole can't even pronounce that word. Do you think it's moved to repurpose garments not to be sold but to be recycled instead? Shredding and burning, working such companies used to throw out thousands of denim and destroyed and not recycled. So it's about recycling. Yes. There's a lot of amazing.
All of us are into recycling as much as possible, and reusing and redoing.
There's a lot of great mills that have got a sort of shredders that I incorporate. I think there's 1 or 2 mills that are all of their fabrics have 5% already in it. You don't even need to ask for it. It's in there. You can't even get it out of it anymore. So they're forcing you.
Well, we don't know. And what I think I want to just throw out there is we don't know what the recycled constitutes, what it's from, where it's from, what's in it, all that stuff. We see.
So they're saying nothing about bad reputation. Yes, cotton has a bad reputation. Good info shared on cotton for denim textiles. Thank you. Great presentation, Andrew. Thank you so much for your time. It's the top of the hour. You've been amazing.
Thank you
so much. Thank you so much.